Dr. Amadi, many thanks for joining us. We appreciate you for coming on. I mean, the former governor, Nasir El-Rufai, has accused the Nigerian judiciary of widespread corruption and biases. What is your perspective on these allegations or accusations?
Well, I think, first, thank you for having me. I think those accusations are not far-fetched. They are not wild. They kind of mirror what the average citizen would think about. It does not mean that the judges are all corrupt. I mean, there are many exemplary judges, men and women of integrity, who are both knowledgeable and professional and display the most, excellent characteristics of a judge. But generally, I mean, if you look at the reports of the NJC itself, as much as people may not like the rigor or the extensive oversight the NJC, but its report suggests a high degree of corruption because NJC continues to sanction judges. Again, if you look at the index, Afrobarometer, the major index for democracy and perception, 75% of Nigerians, as of 2023, do not have confidence in the judiciary at all. After the 2023 election and now, I guess that percentage could get to 80%. So there's a clear evidence-based public distrust of credibility of the quality and the output of the judicial process. Especially as into election. Election has been one of those major drain on the credibility of the judiciary. So El-Rufai's statement, coming from somebody of that high level, might look like a blistering attack on the judiciary, but I think more or less it's not wide or far-fetched.
And El-Rufai, he highlighted the increasing use of ex parte orders in political disputes. How do you think this practice affects the integrity of the judicial system?
Well, it impacts negatively. I mean, there have been efforts in the past by the Chief Justice of the Federation and some other presiding officers of Federal Court and others to control the abuse of ex parte order. Now, the thing about ex parte is that because there are orders courts make without hearing, it means that more often than not, they are usually for very rare situations where there could be very irreversible damage caused to the other party, or there's need to restrain actions that are ongoing that perhaps cannot be recreated if the matter, after hearing of the dispute. But now it's being deployed in a very, very damaging and corrupt manner. For example, I don't know if I talked to us about that, about phone shopping. So people go around, matter is nowhere. They go to Gombe, get perhaps a friendly judge or a corrupt judge or somebody that paid for. I issues an ex parte order, stopping action, sometimes at large. And then wake up in the morning, there's an order from a judge. You are stopped, and then the opponent gains advantage. So because it's not, and oftentimes the bad one is that these orders, there are no urgency that suggest what should be issued. So the judge could have demanded for next day hearing with the other party there to even argue why the order should not be granted. If you look at the US in other jurisdictions, we see that all the time with these Trump immigration orders. That when people go to court sometimes, the judge gives 24 hours. Say, tomorrow, let other parties come. Let me hear why I should not enter this order. They don't even make any effort to see if there can be a 1-2 day turnaround when the other opponent comes before you issue very damning order. Ex parte. I think the ex parte order has been the most corrupt approach the corrupt judges have used to disgrace, the idea of justice and to undermine fair, equitable hearing in court. So I think El-Rufai is correct. It has been the worst hit, and the presiding officers have tried somehow with rhetoric and exhortation to control the use of and abuse, but they keep on abusing ex parte. As a matter of fact, maybe there should be a general direction. conditions for ex parte should be more explicit and very narrow. Many of the issues they issue ex parte can wait for 7 more days, 3 more days. In fact, sometimes judges in the US can give a 3 hours, step down for hearing, especially when people can fly in, people can even through Zoom make an interlocution to why those orders should be granted. So I think that both lack of intelligence, lack of proper understanding, and maybe lack of the judicial or some of the judicial craft and corruption, these judges have continually abused this, especially at the level of high courts, state high courts and federal high court, and something should be done about this.
Something has to be done about that. When you think about it. He also mentioned that the judiciary has become subservient to the executive. Do you agree with this assessment? And if so, what implications does it have for the rule of law in Nigeria? The judiciary is supposed to be the last hope of the common man, isn't it?
I agree with him that largely, yes, there's a high level of subservience, if you like, to executive branch. And that, look, the notion of judicial supremacy, as articulated Justice Marshall and others, and down to our own Supreme Court judges, is that the judiciary is the one that backstops the constitutional separation of power and allocation of power. The idea of democracy is that state power is constrained, can only be used legitimately according to law. That's rule of law. Now, what that requires in practical terms is that judges themselves should have the courage, the independence to declare even against it. Now, but when judges themselves, for example, when they appoint new Supreme Court justices, the governors of those states will hold a party for the new Supreme Court justice and then invite people. How can a governor hold a party for a Supreme Court justices, a private party, not part of the ceremonies of judicial elevation? But this is private party, beer, food, people are there enjoying, and this is the same judge who will sit in judgment over the government in cases about human rights, in cases of abuse of executive power. So I think that the Nigerian judiciary has driven itself into the claptrap of the executive. In the past, people don't even come near judges' houses. Today, it's very easy to see that see judges in parties, see judges commingling freely with politicians. So judges have power, but they have left their power and become like the executive in the state of Nigeria. They have made themselves to become subservient to executive power, and that's why today justice is derailed in Nigeria largely.
Doctor, I wish we could continue because there's so much to talk about. There's also the budget discrepancies that budget has just raised alarm about, but I wish we have enough time. But here's where we have to close the curtain. Dr. Sam Amadi, many thanks for coming in. We appreciate you for doing this with us.